The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own, and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
This podcast is for adults only, should not be used as a meal replacement, and may contain nuts.
Hi, I'm Timmy.
And I'm Mary Jane. He's the newbie.
She's the doobie, and this is the show
where
we
tote cannabis
talk
from both sides.
Is that even possible?
This podcast is for adults only, should not be used as a meal replacement, and may contain nuts.
Hey, and welcome back to another episode of the Noobie and the Doobie. My name's Timmy. I am the newbie.
Mary Jane, also known as the doobie.
On today's episode, we're going to keep it a little bit shorter because I just celebrated my birthday, and tonight is the celebration day. So let's get right into this. We got a little bit of word of the week, and then we'll be bringing in our guest from Hi Magazine Canada.
No.
Hi Canada Magazine.
Yes.
William Sy.
No. Cy Williams.
Cy Williams. Cy Williams from Hi Canada Magazine is here as our guest.
Yes.
But we need to get to your word of the week.
Yes.
Mary Jane has been building us through the learning word process, and we got to make sure that that ladder keeps getting built properly, or else I might fall off.
You fell off.
I might fell off.
You newbie, you.
So let's get into word of the week, ladies and gentlemen, here on another episode of the Noobie and the Doobie. What do you got for us, Mary Jane?
Okay, so my word of the week is going to be the very first type of concentrate extract that I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about 4.
Okay.
At least. You think I've got this all planned out. I kind of do, but I don't. So anyways, the word of the week is Kief. Not Kief. Kief. K-I-E-F.
Kief Richards, one of my favorite Rolling Stones.
No, like Kiefer Sutherland.
Oh, what about that Kiefer guy from Big Brother?
What Kiefer guy?
Remember
from
Kiefer
Big
Canada?
I'm kidding,
Ah.
Kiefer. Everybody loved Kiefer.
Everybody did.
He actually won like top, wasn't he like top
was the
fan
most
favorite?
Fan favorite.
Yes.
Yeah. I think we're gonna have a vote on this show too.
Yes.
Whoever gets the fan favorite vote, you or me.
Oh, I don't want to do that.
Okay. So I win by default.
Yes.
So she got out of the competition.
Yes.
Thank you very much, everybody.
No, thank you, MJ.
Thank you, MJ.
Yes, you're welcome.
For winning the first fan favorite award. Thank you.
See, I won.
Okay.
All right. So Kief is also known as crystals or cannabis dust. I don't like to call it that because I feel like dust is kind of like angel dust.
Yeah, it does. It sounds more
right.
It sounds more druggy.
Exactly, more druggy.
It sounds more druggy.
It's true. It does have like a weird like sound to it. So basically, what Kief is it's a collection of trichomes. So as I taught you before, trichomes are the resinous, sticky part of the bud that protects it from the plant or from the sun and the bugs when it's growing. What you do is you can separate the trichomes from the dried flower by sifting it through a screen or something called a pollen box, which has multiple layers of the screen. And you can just, you can also actually get Kief from, do you mind passing me that grinder behind you, the one with the peace sign on it?
Oh, this is a grinder?
I thought you were going to, no.
No.
That's only my kids, right?
The gnome was looking after it.
I thought you were just going to say the gnome was looking at you. Okay, so if you look in here, in this grinder, you will see that there, if I can get it open, there's a screen in the bottom.
Okay, yeah. It's
or
like
in
a little
the middle.
Sifter.
That's exactly what it is. It's a sifter. So that way all of the Kief or crystal trichomes will go through the screen and collect in the Kief catcher.
Okay.
So that's what we call them, the little
yeah,
Kief catcher.
that's-
Seems fairly
makes sense.
straightforward.
Yeah.
Then you can take your Kief and use it.
How?
I was waiting for you to ask how. So you can sprinkle it into a joint. You can put a little bit on top of your bong. You can compress it into little tiny pucks and
Okay.
bricks. And that's actually another form of concentrate called hash, which we'll be talking about next week.
So this is an addition to, like, so you put flour in your paper and then you sprinkle this on top of the flour?
So you can. So it's where most of the THC is in the trichomes.
Okay.
So that's the highest form of like the highest concentration of THC. So what a lot of people like to do, now you're gonna love this. So you know about oil.
Mm-hmm.
So if I were to take a joint and then roll it in oil, like dip a little bit of oil on it,
Yep.
and then take my Kief and then roll my joint in Kief,
Okay.
that's what they call a moon rocket, because it's a joint covered in oil, covered in Kief.
So
There
you
is,
light that baby up and bam.
it's like out of this world.
Okay.
So
all
there's
right.
also something called a moon rock, which is essentially just a cannabis bud
Mm-hmm.
that they take and dip into an oily concentrate like oil and then roll it in Kief. And that, what they're doing is they're boosting the THC percentage on the bud, because now they've just added, a 70% THC oil to it,
Mm.
and like 40% THC with the Kief.
Okay.
So if you bust that up and smoke it, oh my goodness, you're gonna be wrecked. That's like a lot of THC.
All right, so Kief. So
Kief.
Wait, is Kief? Help me remember this right now. Is Kief the first form of concentrate that we're talking about? We've been talking about.
It's the first one we're gonna talk about today in this like set of
Yeah.
4, because I've got Kief, hash, resin, and rosin, and then later on, like next time, I'll talk about wax and butter and.
See, this is why. If you are just joining our podcast now, whether through audio or video, you need to go to the beginning, because as much as you think you don't have a plan, you have a plan.
I do and I don't.
Well,
I make it up as I go along, but it's really hard for
There's a
me
flow.
because I've consumed cannabis for as long as I can remember, to the point where it seems like second nature.
hmm.
So I have to try and think back to what it was like when I first started consuming and try and figure out, what did I need to find out? What did I need to learn?
Right.
Because there were, okay, times are different. Like, first you need to know, where do I get cannabis? And I mean, I've touched very little bit on, you can get it online here in Ontario with the OCS, the Ontario Cannabis Store.
Mm-hmm.
And I also have touched base on the fact that you can go to a legal recreational retail outlet.
Mm-hmm.
However, I did not walk you through the process of, standing in line, being ID'd, talking to the clerk. Like, we didn't go through any of that.
Right. But what you just said there is super interesting to me, because I was hoping that that's what this show would do too. Is, like you said, you've been using it your entire life. It's like people who drive now and are horrible drivers because they've gotten into so many bad habits. They've forgotten actually the basic rules of driving.
Yeah.
And you kind of consume cannabis. I don't think you do, because you're very cerebral with it. Well, at least you teach me enough to make me think that you're cerebral about it. But you could consume cannabis on auto drive, like, and I'm hoping that what this show does is it takes that you can break it down for someone like me.
Mm-hmm.
And in that process, maybe we're even helping other cannabis consumers who have been doing it for longer than you have,
Mm-hmm.
and be like, oh man, when was the last time I heard about Kief? and just have this educational process, because I don't know, the best teaching I think that is ever given. We've been talking a lot about like guys like Mr. Rogers and Mr. Dressup.
Yeah.
When you have the ability to explain things, especially things as complex as weed is what I'm learning, when you can break it down to its simplest forms again, that's when real learning happens. And so I'm excited every time you do a word of the week, because I think it really does help everybody. Either you're familiar with the word, and if you are, maybe you haven't heard about it in a long time, and it just brings you back to like, yeah, that's cool. And then people like me who are like, I never heard of Kief except on Big Brother. So thank you for words of the week.
Oh, you're
and
welcome.
Stay tuned and go back and watch other episodes. So I have heard about Cy Williams.
Yes.
I met him once at an event.
Yes, that's right.
That
was an awesome event. We'll just leave it at that. Maybe we'll get at it.
It was an awesome event. But you have shared about him and the magazine, High Canada Magazine. You are wearing a High Canada Magazine shirt.
I am
sporting the merch. I don't currently have the merch, but maybe we can cut a deal with Cy on that regard. See. So let's bring in our guest for today, Cy Williams from High Canada Magazine. Can we do that?
All right. Yeah, let's bring in Cy.
And there he is, Cy Williams, all the way from BC, Canada.
Hey, Cy.
Thank you. Pulled it out just
I love your shirt.
How come I don't have one of those?
Well, you're just getting in to the industry. So,
all right.
You have to actually kind of earn a High Canada t-shirt. You know, I've never sold a High Canada t-shirt. Never, not one. I've had at least thousands made over the years, and we always give them away. So if you play your cards right, and I don't see any reason why you might not be able to get one.
Yeah. Well, by the way, MJ made it sound I need to like put in some dues. Like, how long do I need to hang out with cannabis people before I earn that?
Well, not just cannabis people.
No.
High Canada.
It's not so much the people. How much cannabis have you smoked? Have you hit that level?
I've had 3 full joints. Well, maybe
3 cannabis.
Maybe did I finish
3
them?
joints? Okay.
3 joints, but they were all to yourself.
Yeah. I didn't share them. I didn't pass the Dutchie to the left-hand side. Did I use that phrase properly?
Or the right? You just hoarded it to yourself.
Yeah, it's okay. I think that's called microphoning.
Yes. Actually, I wish they would make rolling papers that on one end, the filter end, look like the microphone, and the other end, you know what I mean? So as it burned, every time you'd just be like putting it up to your lips. And sorry, am I holding the microphone again?
Well,
I always thought that microphoning went well with karaoke myself.
Yes.
I don't know if we've tried to do the stoner karaoke over the years. We haven't got it right yet. So we'll keep working on that.
Well, based on all the stuff that I see in your setup here, you could probably teach me a lot. Like Mary Jane has been, this has been probably more educational for me than anybody else during this podcast process. You look like you could probably teach me a ton of stuff.
Well, I have to say, I just want to start by saying I'm a big fan of the show. You guys have made me laugh out loud, like seriously in real life. Chuckle. I love watching, Timmy, your education into the cannabis community, because the cannabis community is one of the most complex entities or cliques, industries, communities that is out there, and there are more contradictions than actualities. And it has been so much fun watching and listening to MJ kind of fill you in on things. So props to you, MJ. And Timmy, how are you feeling? You feeling like you're getting the gist of what she's laying down?
I think so.
Any hurdles?
I have learned a lot, but I think this is the thing that I'm most impressed with, and it's been a growth process. But hear me out here, Cy. There is 5 forms of cannabis. Okay, there's 6 if it's 5A and 5B. Okay, so it's flower, it's tinctures, it's topicals, it's edibles, and it's concentrates / extracts. Did I get it?
Yeah, I've seen them on the the little dissolvables that go on the tongue as well. I have suppositories in my fridge.
Oh, you never told me about suppositories.
Let me think. I think you're going to say there anymore.
Well, a suppository would technically be a
impressed.
concentrate.
Okay.
It's still a concentrated form of cannabis, but you're using it rectally or vaginally.
Timmy, how many, besides the joint, have you tried any other forms of cannabis?
No. But MJ is currently working on getting me we're going to do like an edible test.
Yeah. Well, especially with the legal cannabis being 10 milligrams per package, some of those packages have 5 pieces in it. So that's only 2 milligrams per piece. So it's an extremely low dose. And now that you have your, oh, I blanked out there.
Okay, I actually have a question for Timmy, if that's okay. If I could jump on your
please do.
Screen. Timmy, that first joint you smoked, tell me about it.
The first one I smoked.
This is a good story.
The first one I smoked was down by a river, no van included, and I felt nothing. Now MJ would have to give you the exact things about the joint, but I felt nothing at all, and I was severely disappointed by that.
Oh, I'm so sorry you smoke shit.
Yeah, right?
What about your second joint?
Yeah, we did purchase him low dose. It was about 12% THC the first time. The second time we got him about 19% THC.
Oh, then you got on the good shit.
And he smoked 2 joints in a row because he said, oh, I didn't feel anything the last time and I felt disappointed. So he smoked 2 joints in a row. And this was the day we went bowling.
Yeah. Okay. So we went bowling that day, and I am a really good bowler, a couple 300 games and 5-pin, and I saw my bowling score get deeply affected, and I was already then getting the warning signs that cannabis isn't going to be for me. Like, I can't risk my bowling score. You don't understand, Cy.
So you did not find it to be a performance enhancing drug in any way?
Imagine that. Quick, call the Olympics.
Really? You found it was very difficult to bowl after smoking those 2 joints?
Yeah, there was no performance enhancing at all. Now, that being said, I bowled better than some people I know who weren't high. So technically, I'm still performance enhanced above them.
That's funny.
So, Timmy, stepping away from that experience and looking back, would you say you had fun?
No.
Oh, come on. You kept laughing about how your legs felt fuzzy.
Yeah, I was laughing because it was unique, and I was trying new things, and I was kind of enjoying the moment. But I was absolutely inside very, very, I was frustrated. I was a little concerned. So there was a mix of emotions.
Score, though. It was over the score.
It was the fact that I couldn't function the way that I functioned. And it was kind of funny to me, but it was also very concerning and off-putting.
Okay, so the third time you must have decided, geez, I'm going to give this one more try. Third time. Tell me about your third time. Maybe
Timmy does everything in 3s.
Yeah, so I had to go through 3. This time we were sitting at MJ's house, and she
it was 23%.
Okay, so yeah, so I jumped up to 23. We were having a conversation.
Okay, really good shit.
And I kept phasing out. I think I was like thinking about unicorns at certain points, and all of a sudden I would come back into the conversation, but realize that I didn't know anything MJ had said over the last 10 minutes. And I'm a communicator, and that was it for me. I didn't like feeling that I was disjointed from a conversation.
But that was my fault, because I gave you high THC cannabis, which is meant to chill you out, and put on a movie, and then proceeded to talk.
Okay. So there's the context of it, but I can't say that I've had great experiences.
Well, It sounds like you've got a couple problems that you can address very easily. Location, mindset, and activity. I would personally, if you want to enjoy your high, I would do something by yourself, have a bath. I don't know if you've ever tried a bath bomb.
Oh, yes.
But that is a beautiful, wonderful way. If you're sore after a long day and you want to have a nice, pleasant high, smoke that J and get into the bathtub with a bath bomb. Or go mow the lawn after you smoke that J and see how much fun that made that task. Or do the dishes.
I would advise not cutting the grass after smoking a joint, at least for Timmy.
Yeah, I
should hear his lawnmower
I have
story.
a devastating lawnmower story that might change your mind on that. But little known facts.
You see where I'm going, though.
I do see where you're going. And I just want to throw this out here because not a lot of people know this, but I actually owned and ran a bath and body shop where bath bombs were the primary product for 3 years. Interesting fact.
So you're familiar, you know the way of the bath bomb.
I don't know how to make them. I was being taught.
You know how to use them?
What's that?
Do you know how to use them?
I know how to use them, yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
You're halfway there.
I'm halfway there.
See, I'd like you to have a tincture or like now they have caps, right? The capsules.
Mm-hmm.
You can literally just have a capsule.
All right. Well, listen, I've told MJ that MJ. I'm hearing the echo in my ears and it's throwing me off. But I've told MJ I'm not closed off to the whole thing. I like sharing the cannabis smoking stories, but I've also now learned all the different other forms. And I've also realized you're talking about the cannabis community being a complex community. I have recently began to use the phrase weed doesn't equal weed. It's a very complex plant that I am learning about so many things and dose size and form. And like you're saying, where you're with, who you're with, all those things play a role in how you can enjoy it.
And if I could mention, there are a lot of people out there who are THC sensitive, who want to enjoy cannabis and all the benefits that come with cannabis. But you know what? They don't like or can't handle being that high. They're not comfortable. A little bit of THC goes a long way. And I know a number of people, but they're still find ways to recognize that the cannabis can be great. And, microdosing is a big thing. Not always, maybe if you have 3 to 5 bad experiences smoking joints, maybe switch to a pipe. Or, I wouldn't recommend dabs for you, Timmy, but when I come to Ontario, I would love to sit down and teach you how to dab before you go to any of these big parties and someone's going to drop a gram on your poor ass.
See, we've discussed that. And I'm like, that's the nastiest thing somebody can do to another person as cannabis users. I'm like, don't do that. I'm a baby hitter. I use my shatterizer, and most people are like, did you even smoke anything? And I'm like, yeah, man, I got some. I got baby
props
lungs.
To the shatterizer people. Me too. I love my shatterizer, and I don't like being dabbed out. And I walk up to the counter and they go, oh, look, it's the publisher of that magazine. Let's see what we can do to them. Yeah. And they drop. I see it. I'm like, I can't do it. I can't do that. I'll cough for like 25 minutes, right. And then who knows when my consciousness is actually going to return to me. Yeah.
Well, let's take a moment to talk about that magazine. You're the CEO, the editor, I assume, did you found it?
I did.
And we're talking about High Canada Magazine. So tell us, because I'm interested in knowing, how did you start it? Why did you start it?
Okay. So I used to run a gallery in Kensington Market a number of years ago. It was called Cast, and it was for emerging artists within the Canadian artistic scene. Did pretty well, but we had a real hard time finding sponsors for our shows, people to get behind us, finding funding. I was writing grants all the time. We were struggling to keep it all together. And it was about the same time as the emergence of the cannabis dispensary market. And I went to school for fine art studio and English literature. And I'd worked as a copywriter. I'd worked as an ad man for a big chunk of my career before switching over entirely to art in 2000. And I recognized an opportunity for this marginalized group to find some funding, keep going. And it didn't work out that way, but it got me in. And I'd smoked cannabis my entire life since I was a teenager.
Okay.
And it was a big part of my life. It's been a big part of a lot of the things that I've done over my life. And I've never had a problem personally with the plant. And I have a problem with people who persecute people for using a plant. And I've always maintained this. It belongs to the people. We should be allowed to use it however we want. There's this level of legalization or regulation, even back then. And back then it was an illegal dispensary market. So when I realized that I couldn't merge the legal art stuff with the emerging black market dispensary markets, I saw there was an opportunity. I looked around and there was nothing. I had heard of a magazine called Cannabis Culture, never actually seen it. There was the Treating Yourself Expo had gone on around that same time, and it was a big thing in the cannabis community. It was the first time we ever had a show out here that was well attended, good vendors, good education, good information. And that was Marco, and he was based at big. I don't know if you ever heard the now defunct vape shop or lounge, Vape by the Lake on Lakeshore.
Yes.
But he had a Treating Yourself magazine that was devoted to educating medical patients about cannabis, and this is where nobody knew anything. 1 in 100 people you spoke to would have heard of cannabis in a medicinal way or a way that wasn't associated with stupid potheads or lazy hippies. And then I found some old copies, and I realized Marco had left the country and there was a vacuum. There was nothing. So, I was a creative person. With the gallery, I wound up leaving the gallery and partnering up with one of the bigger cannabis groups in Toronto at the time, the Marijuana Information Bureau, and
the Men in Black.
We started
MIB.
Men in Black, right? We did the scavenger hunts at High Park, and did a lot of those crazy events. We went through a group. I was involved with Noobie Blanche as an artist. And we as underground artists, so I tied it in and we did a Nuit Vert, where we rented some space at Spadina and Queen in the buildings behind, and we got this hotboxed bouncy castle going with like stoner movies going all night. Because sure enough, 500 people showed up to bounce in our stoner bouncy castle, our hotbox. Which was a lot of fun. So I ran Rolling Stone magazine, which was a totally in-your-face. I broke every single rule there was out there for 10 issues, and I established our distribution through the gray market, through the dispensaries that were popping up in every neighborhood in 2014, 2015, and then I was asked to stop using the Rolling Stone name. I got a very nice request.
Nice.
Which I thought it was time. I had just taken, I had applied for and was successful in, I was one of the 10 for 10 Nuit Blanche artists. With Nuit Blanche, I don't know if you know what it is. It's an all-night arts festival that runs in the city of Toronto. So I was chosen to be one of their 10 commemorative artists for their 10-year celebration, 10 for 10. So I was given the Badish Museum at Spadina and Bloor, and I built an installation there. And I built a scaffolding bridge that you walk under, and we had about 5,000 people donate shoes to hang off the bridge, and they all wrote their personal stories on the shoes.
That's beautiful.
And there was a morality clause in my City of Toronto contract that if I was involved in certain activities that I would not receive the grant money needed to, I wouldn't get, basically I'd be booted out.
Okay.
So I waited until the day, was that a week after my Nuit Blanche installation, which, by the way, went over amazingly well. We had Henry Winkler showed up, and Mrs. Bader herself, and we had people coming through all night long. I encourage you to look it up on the interweb. But right after that was done, I started High Canada. I saw the writing on the wall. I recognized the need for education and information. I realized that I couldn't play it like a fast and loose cowboy anymore, that I had to at least start maintaining ourselves to a better standard. We built a team again. We've had so many wonderful members of our team. MJ was a member of our team for a while.
Hey, member
and
for
it was
life.
a pleasure to have her. Really was. And it's allowed us to build over the last 6 years this amazing community. Because what happens is every month we put out an issue. We try to cover 30 or so things going on in the Canadian international cannabis community, and focus on like some women in weed and great women there who are in the industry, who are like doing amazing things, and advocates and teachers. And yeah, we throw in a little bit of business, but it's always about community. And we do that every month. So imagine how many people I've met, how many athletes and doctors and patients and just people, activists and people who are so passionate about the plant. And the coolest thing, Timmy, the coolest thing is that almost every single person I've spoken to, cannabis has changed their life in a positive way.
Right.
So it kind of makes me sad that you haven't had a positive experience yet. But I guarantee you, if you keep experimenting and put some faith in the universe, that you will have a positive experience.
Well, I'm a big education guy, not into public education. I've no desire to go into school or whatever, but what this process is doing is breaking down years of no information. And the more information I'm getting, the more I'm going, okay, maybe I misjudged it a second time again. Because obviously my first misjudgment was based on nothing. I thought it was, but it was kind of like the lack of information was wrong information, if that makes sense.
It's disinformation.
Yeah. So
yeah, there's been a lot of disinformation, Timmy.
So I think though what I'm getting from this show, and one of the reasons why we wanted to do it, was because there's tons of people like me who were shut out of it, been told a whole lot of wrong things, and yet they know people who smoke it medicinally or recreationally. You know, they have kids, they have their senior parents. We were talking with Mimi Cannabis about people over 55 being one of the bigger demographics. And as we're hoping to teach those people listening, I'm learning a lot too. So I'm not opposed. I think you might be right, Si. There's going to be something in the future where another opportunity is going to rise up, and maybe it'll be a positive experience. I'm doing this show not to be the opposite of MJ. I'm still trying to speak positively and trying to figure it out.
Oh, Timmy, could I actually have a really good recommendation for you. How's your overall physical health? How are you feeling? Are you on a scale of 1 to 10? What are you right now?
Like right now, after a long day of driving and recording 4 episodes?
Yeah, right now. This very second.
Feel tired.
On a scale of 1 to 10.
On a scale of 1 to 10?
Like a 6 or 7?
I don't know. I feel a 7 physically, emotionally, mentally. I'm up there at the 9.
Yeah. Good for you. Okay. Have you ever tried? I want you to try smoking CBD flower, high CBD flower. Because you know, a lot of people who smoke cannabis and they smoke and they go, yeah, it's great, it's cool, I guess. It fucks up my bowling score, and I worry too much, or I get peril, or I eat everything in my fridge. But then they switch over to CBD flower, and they get this more of a euphoric feeling, a better sense of being, a better sense of overall health. I'd reckon, maybe looking at that side of the cannabis coin, because there's a lot to explore there. And I could personally make sure you get some CBD flower. There are some amazing growers in Ontario, and hemp flower is going to be the big thing that is coming out that people really aren't talking about. They're still talking about cannabis, the cannabis part of it. But the CBD part of it and that flower is going to overtake the world, especially when you start seeing hemp cigarettes. They're going to be used as a smoking cessation tool.
I've seen
and,
those. Actually,
people are going to be smoking. That is going to be the product that takes the world by storm over the next 2 years. Mark my words. You can have me back on your show in 2 years, and we can talk about the evolution of hemp cigarettes in Canada.
And you can prove that you are right, and we'll pull up this exact clip. So the only
Yes.
thing I would say about that is Timmy is a health conscious person, and I don't really see him smoking again. Maybe vaping, maybe. But I could see you wanting to try edibles, tinctures, things like that, because you
I'm
know
not doing
smoking's not
suppository.
healthy. I would try a suppository
Hmm.
for either my IBS or for my premenstrual dysphoria
Oh.
disorder.
And actually, that's what this is intended for. I keep them on case of emergency, and I've had people in the past ask me for these for both those reasons.
Yep.
Crohn's as well. It's any gastro stuff that you're really suffering. This really helps. And just there is the whole medical side of it, that people are using cannabis to deal with extreme pain instead of pharmaceuticals, right? So there's some of those massive doses, where they might be good for somebody who's in pain who has that tolerance. God, it would probably knock out Joe or Jane average with the doses they're taking. So there's so many different sides to cannabis.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm learning. What about in the media in particular? Ever since we've started this podcast and we've been trying to promote it through different media outlets and social media in particular, there's a lot of people getting, the algorithm is crushing it. In terms of writing a magazine, what has changed in that since you started writing? Like are restrictions there? Like, how do you find getting the word out about cannabis through the magazine format?
For a long time in my professional career, I'm 53 this year. I have used the expression ask for forgiveness, not permission, probably very liberally in my life.
Okay.
And I know for a fact, and you can go check this out if you like, Health Canada has never issued a financial fine to anyone for breaking any marketing rules. If there have been marketing letters put out there to companies, they're never been publicized from companies like all the big LPs. If you go in bathrooms and nightclubs across Canada, you walk around Alberta or Edmonton and you see legal cannabis advertised on bus stops. And when we went to I should actually finish. Do you mind if I finish the second part of my High Canada origin story?
Oh, sure, yeah.
Because we had a transition around legalization.
Yeah.
Okay, so when legalization rolled around, we were told to comply. That we were giving a list of marketing rules and regulations. 90% of the businesses, the entrepreneurs, the people that I had worked with for the last 3 years in the capacity magazine editor, most of my advertisers were told, you come to our side or else. And it changed everything. And a lot of people thought they would be grandfathered in. There were companies out there trying to purchase regulated brands with the promise that they would protect them and umbrella them in. There were tons of people, scores of people who worked in underground dispensaries who had done this for the last number of years, who had built up skill levels where there was no education out there for this or training for this kind of work, who had suddenly found themselves unable to work in the legal industry. So with that one issue, we transitioned and did our very best to transition over and comply for since October 2018. Now it's 2021. I watched so many advertisers, friends of mine, companies fall to the wayside after that legalization and now after Corona. It's very, very disheartening to see. And when we made that transition, we did it with the best optimism, the most optimism we could have. It's not just me. We have a big team of people, contributors, or people who put into this concept and idea of High Canada magazine. We run it like an arts collective, so there's a lot of voices and a lot of moving parts. But to see so many of those moving parts get thrown to the wayside and see so many people who picked up charges because they were a bud tender at the wrong place at the wrong time, unable to transition over. I have seen more people turn their back on cannabis, the cannabis community since legalization, than probably any other time in my cannabis career. And that was a little disheartening. Yeah. So after 2 years plus of trying to follow the rules, we are finally, I threw up my hands about 6-8 months ago, and I participated in the online cannabis store, which is an online cannabis dispensary. Remembering our cannabis roots, thinking about the online cannabis dispensary market is still huge.
Sorry about that, Sai. I think we lost your feed for a little bit. Could you just go back and kind of recap some of what we may have missed?
No problem. I was probably speaking at length about our second transition around legalization, where we as a group decided to try to comply to the best of our abilities to all the new legal marketing restrictions. As a result, of the legalization, I know we saw the rise of the new legal dispensaries, the rise of LPs, but there was an entire industry built up to that point of entrepreneurs, a lot of people who took charges for simply being bud tenders or working at the wrong place at the wrong time, at the wrong grow, because they were involved in unregulated cannabis. And we made a really good try of it. We tried to stick to legal topics, but you know what? The legal market was pretty much, well, you've worked with the black market. We can't advertise with you. I know so many legal producers, people who work with the setting of a legal producer. I have friends and work at so many different companies. And every time, besides content, after we tried to comply, it always came down to what the lawyers had to say. And the lawyers were never cool with licensed producers advertising or promoting or even having any sort of branding in this sort of magazine. And so we were working under that there was no legal revenue stream for us. And at that point, we unfortunately had to say goodbye to all of our black market advertising, which pretty much sliced our throat
Right.
financially. Luckily, we had the foresight to start our High Europe magazine brand, which focuses on cannabis on an international, with an international focus. And that has been very well received. We've done a 5-city tour that got canceled, unfortunately, at the beginning of the pandemic. We're due back there in August to do another 5-city tour. We're media sponsoring the International Business Cannabis Conference, the ICBC. So that's been able to sustain High Canada. At the peak of the crisis, we were our printers' needs and our lack of advertisers pretty much dictated that we had to go to a digital-only platform. And we've been a digital-only platform for about 9 months, and I have to tell you, it sucks so bad. And we still get great engagement. We still have this magazine. But we've over the last couple of months, we've really had to decide that we've had to restart it one more time. So I've been working diligently through the crisis, building new partnerships to take High Canada magazine into as a true legal magazine. We're not going to just be a free magazine that's available at dispenser or black market dispensaries or at head shops or quite possibly if you get it mailed out to you. Now we're going to be 100% all new, all legal. We're shortening the name from High Canada Magazine to HCM. We're going to be distributing our new magazine, our new legal cannabis magazine, through legal shops in 7 provinces. We have licensed producers who finally now they're open-minded enough after so many years, so much time, to start working with some groups like ourselves. So we're once they're contemporaries. Once I realized that a lot of the advertising restrictions do not apply to shows, so all licensed producers and all their brands are allowed to put placements in all those show catalogs. And then I noticed that there were a few smaller companies, newer magazines, that were also distributing through the legal shops. And I found out that it's an in-house magazine, so a lot of the restrictions that we've had poured upon our shoulders for the last 2.5 years no longer apply. Mind you, it means that we can no longer talk about our black market roots, our legacy roots, or our friends in the or in the unregulated community, because in order to play in this particular playground, we have to follow every rule that there is, which is great.
Right.
And I'm happy that we're able to make this hopefully third and final transition with the High Canada Magazine brand. We're bringing with it 6 years of community, a dozen High Canada Magazine correspondents and representatives across the country. So we're really excited about this new move. I'm hoping we're working on the new issue right now, this first legal issue, and we're looking at having it in stores in 7 provinces by probably mid-August. So actually, you heard it here first. We've been keeping it pretty quiet. We had a giant yearbook issue as our last final unregulated issue, last issue. We had pretty much, it was 300 pages of photos. And to be honest, it could have been 1,000. I'm a collector. I have collected photos from so many events, from so many things, from so many shoots, from so many stories that I could have filled 1,000 pages. But yeah, we closed that out last issue.
That's awesome. That was a good issue.
Well,
You were
I
in
love. Were you in there?
Maybe.
Nice. I love how as you've talked about the magazine, and the passion is clear behind it, which is, the driving force behind anything that's going to be successful. But you talked about how you do a lot of stories, people telling their stories. And one of the things we've wanted to do here is have people hear our stories. And one of the things that I love to do to learn is not in the textbook, but I love reading biographies and seeing documentaries of people's lives. I guess my question in regards to all that with the magazine, do you have any sense of our non-consumers getting a chance to hear these stories? Like, does this magazine, has it crossed out into a non-consuming audience? Do you know that at all?
I do. It's funny. We had an interesting evolution of our audience. We started building subscribers with Rolling Stone magazine, where it was consumers purchasing from black market dispensaries. And then we transitioned over. When we transitioned over, we started, I noticed where 60% of the people, because we were doing all the shows, it was B2B. So suddenly we had all these B2B readers and subscribers, and 60% for a number of years of our readers were businesses within the cannabis community. And there was a big rise of entrepreneurs a number of years ago. And everybody and their dog was getting into the cannabis game, my friend. And a lot of people lost money on that, but a lot of people made some money too. It was a lot different than it is today, where you have to jump through a lot more hoops. Luckily, with the new magazine, we are some of the groups that we've laterally connected with are helping a lot of legacy brands step up. And that's really important to me, to see that people who worked in the legacy market, from growers to bud tenders, manufacturers, anybody who's been in there should be allowed the opportunity to step out. And work in this market and not be shut out or penalized or placed in jail. I have a lot to say on that topic, so I probably should. I know we don't have a lot of time.
Wow. Well, we do need to start wrapping it up. MJ, do you have anything you want to add here at the end?
I don't, actually. I'm a little slow today. Can you tell? It's really hot in here, and it's the end of the day, and I'm really hungry.
What we need to do is go get a nice place out where Sai is, which looks so peaceful and chill and relaxed.
Yes.
Oh,
we need a studio where I can smoke.
Oh, see, I love my place. I can smoke anywhere, and I love that. I can smoke while I'm walking around the lake. I can smoke walking down the road with my dogs. I can smoke anywhere. So, hey, but the only downside is, you know what? I get love letters from Domino's. We miss you, Sai. Come back to us, Sai. I used to live in Toronto. I would order Domino's 16 times a week. They miss me. I miss them too. Now, Domino's, if you're listening, get me delivery.
That's funny.
We'll use our many contacts and figure what we can do.
Thank you. I need a.
So we want to thank you for spending time with us today and for sharing your story and for talking about the magazine, and from one artist to another. I can't speak for MJ, but it's just so awesome to see somebody who's so passionate about what they're doing, who's being able to sustain themselves doing what they love. That's so encouraging for me. And I just hope you can continue to tell the stories, because I think stories are more important than stats and all the technical mumbo jumbo. So tell the stories, and hopefully more and more people will understand more about this complex plant in the community.
I agree, Timmy. It's been a real pleasure, and you know what? Who knows? Maybe I'll be able to participate in your cannabis journey to some degree.
Well, technically, you already have today.
Oh, thank you. That's very nice of you to say. MJ, it's always a pleasure. Timmy, it's nice to make it real quick. Nice to meet you, my friend.
Thanks so much, Cy. We'll talk to you soon. Appreciate it.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Cy Williams, High Canada Magazine. Or what is it? It's just actually High
HCM.
HCM.
That's right, HCM.
Nice. That setting that he was in was I don't know if it was just the way he just had everything laid out on the table, but I mean, in like, you know, the sleeveless shirt, the natural light coming through the window, it just looks so spacious, like, because it's partially office space there, right?
See, I was just watching the room fill up and get more cloudy as the episode went on.
Such a
that was cool.
a good working environment, and
it definitely looks chill.
Yeah, and it's just, once again, it's just so good to see somebody who's passionate about what they do and loves what they do. So few people can do what they love.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like he's doing what he loves. He's an artist, and he's got a purpose behind his art.
Mm-hmm.
And it was good. It was a good chat. I like talking with him.
Yeah,
I met him once at a we did. It was a Playboy Mansion event.
Oh yes.
And I think I met him once. We were in the back. We went into the back courtyard of this downtown.
Yeah.
It was quite the event.
Yeah.
Actually,
what's really funny is at that event he was discussing the last magazine that he was just talking about.
Oh, okay.
300 photos, or was it 300 pages?
Yeah,
300 pages.
Yeah, that's because that was about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So that was cool. So check out High Canada Magazine.
Yeah.
HCM,
which will be at a legal cannabis store near you.
And
hopefully
those things are popping up all over. They're more frequent. Even my dad's not a consumer. Even my dad sent me a message or something like this. He says there's like cannabis stores like on every block now.
Pretty soon they're gonna be like Tim Hortons and roller rinks.
Right?
Used to be.
That's right.
Yeah.
Moved from roller rinks to Tim Hortons to cannabis shops. It's a constant transition.
A progression, yeah.
It is. Well, I enjoyed that conversation. It was another good episode.
Yeah.
What is that? Number 15. Is that number 15 in the books?
I lost track 4 episodes ago.
Can't believe it. It's been a good ride.
Sure
Looking forward to many more episodes coming up. Hope you guys have been enjoying it. Go back to the very beginning. Follow the journey, because I'm learning, as you saw as we were talking with Cy, I'm learning stuff, but I'm learning it in order. MJ is walking us through steps through her words of the week, and the Teaching Timmy segments. So go back to the beginning, listen through podcasts, check it out through YouTube, and we'll leave links for Cy down in the description boxes of whatever format you're watching it in. So once again, I'm Timmy.
Mary Jane. Stay lifted.
And keep on laughing. Bam. Cheers.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own, and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.